the necromancer's widow. The hour of Mars had come and gone. The blackness outside the widow's tower clung to the castle like a death shroud. Lady Evelyn stood at the crag-jagged edge of her balcony, staring into the abyss beyond the ancient yew trees that bordered her estate. The air was thick with a miasma that reeked of putrescence, the stench of the charnel arts practiced in the catacombs below. Before the night of sorrow, Lady Evelyn had been a beacon of light within the somber halls of the castle. Her laughter, a sonorous melody, echoed through the corridors, bringing warmth to the darkened halls. Her love affair with Alexander was whispered of in hushed, reverent tones, a tale of passion that defied the heavens. Her heart, long bled white by his demise, a canvas stripped of color, bereft of all but the most forlorn emotions. Every baroque spire and tenebrous archway in her archaic surroundings seemed to reflect the blight festering within her soul, a disquieting mirror to her inner desolation. The necrologies carved into the onyx plinths murmured tales of infernal pacts and forbidden courtships. 'Twas under such auspicious circumstances that she turned to the arcane, seeking to commune with the wraith of her dearest, Alexander. She had consumed absinthe, its soporific effects dulling her fear, and meticulously prepared for the ritual, her fingers deftly crushing belladonna petals into a fine powder for a philter potent enough to cross the veil betwixt life and death. In her sanctum, within a chalk-drawn circle, she carefully inscribed intricate runes, each a symbol of power extracted from the most esoteric texts of the diabologue. She invoked the names of malefic entities. Her voice rang against the sepulchral stones, a threnody to her lost love. "Mephistopheles, I invoke thee," she intoned, her words a blend of panegyric and plea. The air grew colder, a portent of the entity's presence. The glyphs she had studied in her late husband's grimoire glowed with a cerulean light, casting ghastly shadows upon the walls. Her libertine dalliance with the dark arts had led her to this Faustian moment. Suddenly the room thrummed with a baleful energy. Candlelight flickered and objects began to rattle. An hourglass toppled from a nearby table and shattered, its sand dispersing through subtle vibrations. The candle flames grew unnaturally tall before being extinguished, as if a ferocious wind had torn through the room. Evelyn watched wide-eyed in frightened fascination, her breath catching in her throat. She sat motionless, fear and anticipation intertwining within her. The room fell into an eerie silence, now only lit by the pale glow of the moon streaming through the window. An apparition materialized, a phantom visage that bore the likeness of Alexander. His eyes, once imperial, now burned with a hellish fire. "Evelyn," he rasped, his voice a mournful dirge that chilled her to the marrow. "Why have you awakened me from Erebus?" Her heart pounded, a mass without flaw in its rhythmic intensity. "I could not bear the sorrow, the widowhood. I sought the power to bring you back, to defeat the stigmata of death that has marked our union." "Foolish woman," Alexander replied, his tone laden with vitriol. "You have delved into the necrophilied graves of knowledge best left buried. The cabal you defiled to gain this power has cursed us both." Lady Evelyn's eyes filled with anguished tears, her spirit tethered to the cruel machinations of her own necromantic practices. "There must be a way," she beseeched, her voice trembling. "Tell me, Alexander, how can I undo this bane?" The wraith of Alexander extended a spectral hand, pointing towards the depths of the burial grounds. "You must descend, confront the sepulchre where our bond lies entombed, and face the phantasmal horrors within. Only then might you find redemption, or be forever lost in the chthonic void." With a final sorrowful gaze, he reached out to her. But before his fingers could meet her skin, his form dissipated, leaving Evelyn in the dismal quiet of her gothic prison. The knowledge of what she must do clawed at her sanity, the enormity of the task a monstrous weight upon her soul. She lit a taper, the faint flame a glimmer against the pervasive gloom. As she descended into the bowels of her estate, her steps echoed dauntingly through the silent corridors, each one resonating with the cadence of inevitability. She could feel the spell of vivification and its currents swirling around her. The once fallen soulless husks now walked among her, their hollow eyes a harrowing reminder of the forces she had so foolishly unleashed. The descent was fraught with the ghosts of her sins, each step a reckoning. The catacombs yawned before her, a maw of despair that threatened to swallow her whole. Yet she forged ahead, driven by a maddening desire, her mind a tempest of grief and determination. She passed alcoves where the dead she had raised huddled, their pallid faces turned towards her, silently pleading for release. As Evelyn carried on, she noticed a figure staggering through the shadows ahead, crossing her path. At first, she did not recognize the shambling form, but as it lurched into the light of the full moon that shone through a collapsed part of the ceiling, her eyes caught a familiar glint. It was a delicate silver locket, one her mother had been buried with. A sharp pang of sorrow pierced her as she recognized the tattered burial gown draped over the figure's decrepit frame. The realization hit her like a physical blow. It was her mother's reanimated corpse wandering aimlessly. Evelyn's stomach twisted with remorse, knowing in that moment that while it was her mother's body, her mother's soul was no longer inside. She had pulled her from her eternal resting place into this nightmarish existence, an empty shell reanimated by dark magic. The thought gnawed at her. Had she disturbed her mother's soul, dragging it from its deserved peace? Evelyn continued onward, trying not to let what she had just witnessed make her lose sight of what she must do. Her resolve hardened with each step, the weight of her task anchoring her focus. She descended deeper into the catacombs, the air growing colder and the shadows thickening. How hath it come to this? She wondered, her feelings a maelstrom of regret and hope. If I may but break this curse, perchance, to undo this wretched horror. Let Alexander's soul find peace, or let me be damned unto perdition, at the mercy of the spirits I have so grievously invoked. In the deepest chamber, the vault of their sundered connection lay. Evelyn stood before it, her heart a fragile thing of alabaster, ready to shatter. She muttered a final incantation, a desperate plea for absolution. The earth trembled, and the crypt began to open, the funereal silence broken by a wailing lament. What emerged was not Alexander, but a ghoul, a twisted mockery of the man she had once known. Ragged, decaying flesh clung to its skeletal frame, and patches of exposed bone gleamed dully in the dim light. It attempted to speak, producing only horrible guttural sounds from its ruined throat. Her scream reverberated through the catacombs, a sound of ultimate hopelessness and finality. In that dreadful moment, realization struck her with the force of 1,000 hexes. Her quest to challenge the laws of nature had wrought only ruin and eternal torment. Her soul forever cursed, lost in the cold embrace of the necropolis. As the ghoul lunged, she welcomed its grasp of death, her only solace the end of her agonizing loneliness. Her final breath was a whisper into the abyss, swallowed by the darkness that consumed her.